So what do we make of all of this, Jim? What's really at stake? Allan Lichtman is a presidential historian and a professor at the American University here in Washington. The big question everyone is asking, what if Republicans have a big win tomorrow? Allan explained what a split government would mean.
Yeah, you'll have Republicans in control of both houses of the Congress if they take over the Senate. Of course, they're guaranteed to hold the House. So you'll have divided government, which is not unusual in this country. In his last 2 years, George W. Bush, the Republican, had Democrats controlling the Congress. From 1994 on until he left office in 2001, Bill Clinton had Republicans controlling the Congress for the most part. So it's not unusual. And the truth is, it's not going to matter nearly as much as people think it is, because you can't govern from the Congress. First of all, it takes 60 votes to get anything through the Senate because of the rules regarding filibuster, speaking a bill to death before it comes up for a vote. And even if Republicans take over, they're going to be well short of that. And secondly, the president is armed with his veto pen, and it takes 2/3 of both houses to override a veto. Where it's going to matter a great deal if Republicans take over the Senate is Barack Obama's appointments, which have to be approved by the Senate, both executive appointments and judicial appointments. And judges serve for life. So it's going to be very hard for the president to get his judicial appointments to the federal bench through a Republican Congress.
It's already been difficult for him, hasn't it?
It's already been very difficult, which is why the Senate, which is still controlled by the Democrats, enacted the so-called nuclear option, saying except for Supreme Court appointments, you cannot filibuster a judicial appointment. So it takes only 51 votes, not 60 votes.
Now, you mentioned former President Bill Clinton. He did have some success with a divided government. He was able to get welfare reform through, balance the budget. So there are these successes, but this is a different time, isn't it? It seems so dysfunctional now. Even with the way it is now, people would assume if both houses are dominated by Republicans, it's not going to go well.
No, it's not going to go well. It's a very different time. Yes, Republicans and Democrats were polarized in the 1990s, but not nearly to the extent that they are today. Today, the most liberal Republican is still more conservative than the most conservative Democrat. The parties don't agree on anything, and the disputes between them are quite bitter. So it's going to be very difficult for the Republicans and the president to come together the way they did in the era of Bill Clinton. Even in the last 2 years, with the Democrats in control of the Senate, nothing got done. It was probably the most do-nothing Congress in modern history.
Let me ask you about some of the things international viewers might be looking at. How does this impact foreign policy? How might it impact trade deals? What do you see there?
It's not going to impact foreign policy very much. In fact, what you often have happen is late-term presidents, like Barack Obama in his last 2 years, focus on foreign policy because they have much more control over foreign than domestic policy. They don't have to deal nearly as much with a bulky Congress. So if anything, this might embolden Barack Obama to act even more decisively in foreign policy, perhaps work even harder to broker a deal with Iran or to try to achieve some kind of rapprochement between the Israelis and the Palestinians, or take even more decisive action against ISIS. And as far as trade policy is concerned, if anything, it'll probably put more pressure on the president to reach free trade agreements, since the Republican Party, which at one time used to be the protectionist party, in the last 30 or 40 years has become the free trade party.
Allan Lichtman there with analysis.